He's known as the boss and founder of Maybach Music, but now he's an author too. Rick Ross just released his new memoir, Hurricanes, and in it he touches on everything from growing up in his crime-ridden hometown to the string of seizures that forced him to change his lifestyle. We sat down with the legendary rapper to get a closer look at some of the more personal moments he mentions in his new book.
I gotta say congrats. I just finished your memoir, man. First, before we get into anything, how's it feel to be, published, be an author?
It's most definitely something that I'm proud of, you know what I'm saying? Put a lot of work into. Shout out to my partner Neil, who actually wrote it and put together all the vision ideas.
So what was actually the process? Did he kind of sit you down on a couch and interview you? Did you come with him a collection of stories that you wanted to portray?
I don't think it would ever got done like that. It was more like, it's more like he was a backpack. You know what I'm saying? He was on my back, you know what I'm saying? He actually went back to where we was from, got to ride through Miami. He actually got to meet everybody that, that's still here, that I grew up with and came up with and, got to really experience some of the different things.
The title we went with is Hurricanes. I think when a lot of people tell their stories, they start off with the sexy parts of it, and they talk about when they made it and what life is like now. But for at least the first third, maybe half of the book, you talk about the 10 years you put in that nobody talks about. The 10 years where Hurricanes, where you was writing for other artists, watching other artists pop off, maybe getting some traction, but not exactly getting that chance to blow.
I mean, for us to do this the right way, it's only one way to really do it, and that's to tell you about the hurricanes, which is the struggle, which is the hard work, which is the lessons that we had to learn. So once we got in a position of power and successful, we wouldn't take it for granted.
Is a part of you happy that you came up in the era pre-social media? Because if hustling was on SoundCloud, or if hustling was on Instagram.
Every day I'm hustling. Who you suckers think you're tripping with? Yes, I'm the boss. 745 white on white, that's Rick Ross.
It could have changed your life in a week.
Without a doubt, I'm happy it happened exactly the way it did. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't change it. I'm a fan of the social media now. I'm a fan of watching the youngsters hit their licks. Regardless of how long I'm in the game, I'm still a student of the game and a fan of it. That's what Hurricane's about, because for the ones that did achieve that success overnight, they're going to have to learn one day what Hurricanes is all about.
Yeah. So you talk about, your ankle monitor going off when you were, on house arrest or what have you. But it went off at the White House one time when they had the summit on social justice.
Right. It most definitely was humble to be invited to the White House. My very first album, I had a record called White House. Yeah. And it's just for so many different reasons. And at the time, I was out on bond fighting a case, and it wasn't something I was proud of. And I felt if that ankle monitor didn't go off, I would have shared more words on a personal level with President Obama. You know what I'm saying? But most definitely, that was a hell of an experience.
One hurricane that you've kind of dealt with and you talk about in the book, and also just in your life, is health. We talk about multiple seizures and so on. But talk to me about some changes you made just in your day-to-day life that has maybe subsided that struggle with health.
It really is. It started with rest. Mm-hmm. Then other things during my diet, you know what I'm saying, sodas, a little at a time, nothing drastic. Yeah. Because I knew it wouldn't be realistic for me. It came a time where I really had to make those changes, because it was damn near life or death at one point.
Yeah. Now, I'm sure if we took a trip over to Del Frisco's, you could tell me your favorite pieces on the menu, but what's Rose's favorite, like, healthy go-to meal? Like when you feeling good?
When I'm feeling, healthy, I just want some. I'm gonna go heavy vegetables.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? As long as it's heavy vegetables, because when you're traveling a lot, you can't lock in on really one thing, because every city you go to is something different.
Probably my favorite book ever is The Alchemist. Santiago is a young boy, but the point is that he believes in omens, and an omen is a sign that you see anywhere in the universe, and it's supposed to point you in a direction. Now, in a way, you reference omens in the book where you talk about wanting to sign Meek Mill to MMG. And you said that your sister sent him on a flight but that you found out his government name was Robert Williams. And then also talk to me about, you know, your feelings when you see that he's off probation and they got a new judge appointed on a criminal justice level as far as Meek Mill and his case.
I'm most definitely still celebrating that for the brother, because he's been going through that struggle since the very day I met him. That was the very first day we ever met and sat down. That was something that he brought up to me, like, I can't come to Miami because I knew he was a solid dude. And we all make mistakes, but I seen it in him that his intentions was right. Regardless of what he ever been charged with, I knew his intentions was right. You know, once the names came up, you know, of course, my name William Roberts, his Robert Williams. And during that flight situation, I'm like, damn, this gotta be a special situation.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.